Hey everybody, it's Sean and Trey with Reactions to the Classics. Before we get started today, we just wanted to invite you to take a look at our Patreon page where we have all kinds of reward tiers, anywhere from reacting to an entire album to songs. Supporting us for as little as $1 a month. It really helps us out.
And you can also check out our Facebook and Discord groups down below. Got a great community of people who love music. And all that to say, y'all, let's get to today's video. What's happening, everybody? Trey and Sean here, and today, Reactions to the Classics, we got another review of Mr. Zimmerman.
We do, man.
Bob Dylan. This one comes courtesy of a suggestion from our patron, Sean. And Sean, we appreciate it. You've given us many great Dylan albums to review.
Yes, you have. We definitely appreciate it,
And today we are up to 1981's record, Shot of Love. I hadn't heard any of these songs
Not a one, man.
on this album, so we'll just get rocking in it.
Yes, his 21st studio album is released in August of 1981 by Columbia Records. It's considered his last in his trilogy of Christian albums, although this one has a lot more rock arrangement than the previous two do. He really struggled, Trey, with finding a producer, and went to different producers and different studios. He couldn't find the mixes he wanted, and then when he went in and did the final mix and engineering, he realized he didn't like the way some of the songs sounded, and he went and re-recorded several of them. So it's kind of a struggle for Bob on this to get all the pieces to go together like he wanted it. The critics were very harsh on it. It sold pretty decent compared to his previous two albums. It went to 6 in the UK and 33 in the US, and that is going to take us right into our first song, Shot of Love. And this song does make some spiritual references, but it also rails against substance abuse. Dylan told NME in 1983, the purpose of music is to elevate and inspire the spirit. To those who care where Bob Dylan is at right now, they should listen to Shot of Love. It's my most perfect song. Defines where I am. I thought this song was pretty good, Trey. And I know we talked before this review. Normally we don't discuss what we thought. I really like side A. You really like side B, so a little spoiler alert. But so for me, this song was one of the standouts on here.
Yeah, this was the best song, I think, on that first side that was otherwise kind of lackluster for me. I think it had a little bit of a funk undertone to it.
Yeah, the instrumentation on this whole album is definitely different than a lot of the other Dylan stuff we've heard.
Yeah, there's not too much harmonica in here, save for a couple of notable exceptions. Yeah. And he had a very lively vocal performance here, so I thought that it was great for the opener. And one of my favorite lines from this would be, "Don't show me no picture show or give me no book to read. It don't satisfy the hurt inside nor the habit that it feeds." So again, railing about the subject of substance abuse, as you mentioned, deal with heavy, lofty topics all throughout this record. So good way to start it off, and then we take that on to track 2.
Heart of Mine. So for me, Trey, this is one of the standouts on this album. I know with your mention of what you think of side A, it probably isn't for you. This
wasn't a huge fan.
This was described as kind of a Tex-Mex thing. Different, definitely instrumentally. The piano on here was described by a lot of critics I read as loosey-goosey. It's kind of stuck between a secular and a love song, which would be Bob's first love song in several years. It's based on the Bible passage, Jeremiah 17:9. And he recorded several versions of this song. This is one of them I was talking about that he re-recorded, because he did a version with Ringo Starr and Ronnie Wood. And he even said in an interview years later, that's the version that's on here. He goes, we just threw that together and did it in like 10 minutes. There were probably some other better versions I recorded of it, but I wanted this one on here because it was with those two guys. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'm sure all the Dylan diehards can point us to some of those better versions.
Yeah, I'm
due to
sure
all
they
the, different bootleg and other editions.
They exist somewhere, all Bob's stuff.
That Dylan comes out with. But yeah, the concept for me, though it was unique, because he was really talking to his own heart itself throughout the lyrics, I just feel that it could have been fleshed out a little bit more, and thus the song fell up a little bit short for these listening ears on this side, but I can see why people do enjoy it.
Well, what about the third track, Trev? We come to Property of Jesus, which these lyrics, man, Bob is basically going after people who don't believe in Jesus and are kind of putting him down. So I thought that was just, you talk about being out there. You don't see that a lot from this period of Bob that we've come across, but
no,
he's going at him. I thought the song was pretty good. I thought his vocals sounded nice on this.
Yeah, the highlight for me on this track was in the chorus, especially when those booming drums come in. I enjoyed that, but though I kind of can see obviously where Bob was going here, I fear that he might have been a little bit too preachy, too strong.
Yeah,
where,
I would agree with that.
Non-believers might hear this and then just block out everything else he has to say. I felt that a couple different times on this record.
Yeah, I think there's us both being strong Christians. There's a level of truth that you have to share with people, but there's really a way to do that most of the time.
And I feel, he became a born-again Christian in 78, so he still has that fire in him, all this time later, but, sometimes it's difficult to know how to hone that in, how much to, go, like you said, go in with the truth, and how much to, okay, how do I present this message I want to bring across? And here, just felt a little too thick.
Yeah, I agree with that. We're going to go on to Lenny Bruce, which is a 4-track on here. What an odd subject matter for this song. Lenny Bruce,
say.
Yeah, you could say. Lenny Bruce was a comedian who used profanity and all these things, and he ended up dying in 1966, but he got arrested several times because back then, if you were using obscenities and doing those things, they could actually arrest you. Obviously, that doesn't exist, at least in the U.S. nowadays, but he was asked later on, why did you write a song about Lenny Bruce? And he said, honestly, I have no idea. I wrote it in like 5 minutes. And to me, it seemed like, unfortunately, he probably did write it in about 5 minutes because this song is not horrible, but I was definitely not a fan of it.
It's not hideous. It reminded me, it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, the family's all around, and you just got that one weird uncle or cousin who sits down at the piano.
Because it was mainly piano based, like almost all just piano.
Yeah, and he starts belting some tune out, and then once he's done, the family starts looking at each other. They don't really know how to react. That's how I felt listening to this song. It's just like, well, okay, Uncle Rick's at it again, but yeah, I wasn't. This wasn't too memorable for me. Beside for just how odd it kind of was.
Yeah, it was definitely stood out as an outlier. That's going to bring us to the final track of the A side, "Watered Down Love." What do you think of that one?
Yeah, the melody here stuck out compared to some of the other tunes on the record. This did have a little bit of a cheesiness, almost contemporary Christian music cheesiness.
Yeah,
to
it's
me.
based on 1 Corinthians 13.
Yeah, so I just thought, though I really get behind the message that people look for love in the wrong things, and that ultimately the experience of my life, the best love that you can find has been through my relationship with Christ. I just felt, again, the execution here was a little bit off.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I'm curious on the cheesy part because I'm back and forth. I don't know what I think. I think strongly one way or the other. I'm not sure which one. On the backing vocals, it was weird to have those backing vocals come in. I don't know. It's just not something you see very often with Bob to showcase them, and it comes into play in another song in a little while. But that may have been part of it for you. I don't know. But we've closed out the A side, the side that I like more. And now we're going to go to the side that you like more, Trey. So let's kick off the B side with "The Groom Still Waiting at the Altar." It's not on the original vinyl, but in 1985 they put it on the original vinyl. It was on the original cassette. From there on in, on the CD, on everything. So we chose to include it here.
Yeah, and up to this point, this was my favorite track. I've been railing on the A side a little bit, but you had some surrealistic type of lyrics in here, really for the first time that I enjoyed in here. He's talking about almost like a theological rift in a sense between him and this woman, and
Claudette.
It ends up separating them. He mentions that Claudette could be happily married by now or running a whorehouse in
I like that too.
Buenos Aires.
Could have worked out either way.
And he mentions in there, tonight you got the power to take it, tomorrow you won't have the power to keep it. Just some of those characteristic Dylan lines that I hadn't really felt up to this point in the record came through in this.
Yeah, for me, it was just so. So that's the beauty of music, right? We both, I think, like several songs on here. We just like different songs.
Yeah.
My favorite line in there was, "Mistake your shyness for aloofness, your silence for snobbery." And I wondered if that wasn't a line very personal to Bob, the way he's been interpreted over the years. But yeah, for me, it was okay. And that takes us to Dead Man. Dead Man. It's another evangelical song. Its theme is from Romans 7:24. The dead man that Dylan is addressing is himself. He says, "Satan's got you by the heel. There's a bird's nest in your hair." Lots of introspection on this. I think the lyrics are fantastic. The song itself and the execution of it,
You weren't a huge fan.
I wasn't a
See,
huge fan.
I think he executed the more Christian-tinged theme on this song better than he had in side A.
I mean, I like the lyrical presentation.
Yeah, but in here he notes that the guy has like cobwebs in his mind, so he can't really think, and then dust in his eyes, so he can't see, and that goes back really to what you said, the Romans, talking, oh, dead. I'm a dead man, who can save me from this body of sin? And probably more than any other piece of literature, Romans has shaped my life personally.
Agreed, mine too.
I enjoyed the fact that he was able to really kind of get to the heart more of the Christian experience and flesh that out a little bit more deeply and better than what he had up to this point on the record. I also like that he's kind of personified sin as the tuxedo that you're wearing, the flower in your lapel. Kind of reminded me of a song we had on Infidels that came out a year after this, Man of Peace, where he says sometimes Satan comes as a man of peace. I enjoyed that. Then we go to track number 8.
In the Summertime, which this is the most upbeat one, some retrospection. Could be addressed to a woman, could be addressed to God. I like the vibe of this song.
And this has that trademark harmonica that we're so used to Dylan putting forth, and we hadn't really had that up to this point too much, so a little unique there. I think this song objectively, as a music reviewer outside looking in, is solid. And then if you are somebody who can relate to the lyrics like I was in this, it becomes even more beautiful in just the theological themes that it brings forth. I especially like the lines, but all that suffering was not to be compared with the glory that is to be, and I'm still carrying the gift you gave. It's a part of me now. It's been cherished and saved. It'll be with me unto the grave and then unto eternity. Here again in this B-side, I think he's fleshing out those theological Christian themes in a way that's a little bit more advanced than we had on that A-side. I mean, I don't want to keep harping on that, but that's one of the reasons I think it was this B-side's elevated. And then we're going to go on to track number 9.
Trouble. And I mean, it's a bluesy song. It works okay for me. The message is good. He's basically saying tribulation or trials are intrinsic to the human existence. You are going to go through trouble. Don't be shaken
notes just
by
how
this.
The world is in turmoil.
Yeah, it reminds me as a Christian of John 16:33. So for me, I thought that once again, and I kind of see where you're going with the B-side now that we're kind of fleshing this out, the lyrical presentation from the Christian perspective in side B is actually quite good. I just didn't like the songs, the presentation as much. This song for me it's once again just okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. This was definitely my least favorite on the B-side. Pretty forgettable. It had a more, like you mentioned, blues type of arrangement with it, and I don't know, it didn't really stand out compared to the songs it was sandwiched in between, because at the end we come to the most critically acclaimed song from this record, Every Grain of Sand. This is over 6 minutes long, and this was pinpointed by fans and critics alike as the highlight from this record, and I tend to agree.
I tend to agree as well. When Bruce Springsteen inducted Dylan into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he mentioned this song specifically as one of his best works.
Yeah, and it has a more calming quality. You can tell right away it's different instrumentally than the rest of the record. And here again, we have a trademark harmonica, especially on the outro. It fades out the entire record. I think that Bob does a great job again getting to the heart of the Christian experience, noting the kind of heartache, the faith one must have, and really that's kind of the gist of the entire song, and the message of it is trusting in God as you're going through life, as you don't know what's ahead, the darkness is ahead, yet you trust in the one that's guiding you. And so all in all, I thought musically, lyrically, and just presentation-wise, it was really good.
Yeah, this was the Dylan that we have come to know and love. So yeah, I thought this was definitely more of a traditional song. Maybe not lyrically his content area, obviously, but definitely more traditional. This is Dylan. So when we come to our favorite songs, this was my favorite, Every Grain of Sand. I also really liked Shot of Love and Part of Mine.
Yeah, Summertime would be my other favorite, along with Every Grain of Sand. That'll take us to our overall score of the record. What do you got?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I think, like I said, if we took both of all the songs we like together and put them together, you have a really high ranking. But for me, You know, this is my least favorite Dylan album that I've listened to, and that's not any sort of shot or anything. But for me, I'm going to be at a 6.25.
Yeah, for me, this would also be my least favorite Dylan album I've heard up to this point, but we have cherry-picked the best of the best.
Yeah, it's a very high bar that we're up here on.
So for me, my new and improved grading scale, where I'm trying to be stricter in 2020, I'll be at a 6.0 on this. Still really enjoyed Every Grain of Sand, though, and that'll be in the Dylan playlist.
Yeah, it's still a good album.
And it is neat to see one of his, Christian album trilogies here. Bob's got so many different aspects to him throughout his career that we've got a good taste from each different era. So I'm looking forward to getting more of Mr. Zimmerman and his music in the future. As always, Dad, thanks for the research.
It's fun.
Thank you, Sean, for supporting us, man. We really do appreciate it. Always enjoy diving into these records. And if you enjoyed this video, remember to hit that big red subscribe button. And until next time, y'all, thank you so much for watching. Happy listening, my friends, and we will see ya.